I've just recently got back into Rainbow Six Siege. I played it now and again over the past year, but recently I've been playing it almost every day, and I think it's a really great game to play with friends. It's pretty much replaced CSGO for me as the game that I would go to in the evenings to play with mates. That being said, at the moment I'm having a bit of a love-hate relationship with it because the game has a lot of flaws in my opinion, and I know that plenty of players must have experienced these similar problems. It's certainly not just me, and I've talked about it with lots of other people too, and lots of my friends that I play with are very frustrated at times by these issues, and I think it's about time that some of them were dealt with or perhaps looked at. Without messing around, let's get stuck in. Firstly, the matchmaker. I think this is a big problem. I've played a lot this week and I've repeatedly been put against players with 100 plus pings, often 200 plus on a regular basis. A few nights ago we were playing against a whole team from Asia with 300 pings. That just doesn't make for a very good gameplay experience. And when you combine it with the fact that the game's engine or netcode, for want of a better term, doesn't deal with latency in a fantastic way, it means that I end up being very frustrated and a bit cheated with a lot of the kills. If I'm on an EU region, I expect to be playing against people from my region only, with let's say sub 100 ping, maximum of 150. Instead though, because the game allows people to change their region via an ini file, it means that some players are doing it intentionally to gain an advantage. Now I can't say of course for sure that all players that we've come across have done this intentionally. The matchmaking could just not be working as intended sometimes. I know that I get placed against some odd ranks at times, but regardless of the cause, I personally don't enjoy the experience when it happens, and I'm amazed that this hasn't been fixed or addressed yet. Okay, moving on, some gameplay design. Spawn killing. This is a personal hate of mine, and I know it's a very hot topic in the community. Let me clarify first though. I don't mean a player sitting in a window watching the spawn. That's annoying, but unfortunately it's part of the game really, and that's down to a lot of the map design, and you've just got to be a bit more cautious when you're attacking and learn the common spots where people like to peek. What I'm talking about here is when defending players are running outside for 2 to 3 seconds out of a door or a window to shoot people in spawn. In fact, in general, I think players running outside is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Now, I don't want to stop players from running outside completely. I get that it's a valid tactic to catch attackers off guard, and although it's annoying, it's definitely part of the game. And maybe an interesting thing to do to stop that instant spawn killing would be to not allow the defenders to go outside for, let's say, 30 seconds after a round begins. But what I do think definitely needs to change is that players running outside should be instantaneously spotted. Right now it feels as though players can get away with running out, getting a kill and getting back inside before the timer has even had an effect and spotted them. It just seems to be so inconsistent and slow at times to track a player when they run outside. It's supposed to be 2 seconds, but when you account for lag and buggy glitches and vaulting out of windows, sometimes you can get up to 3.5 seconds before you're even spotted. Yes, I understand that it's a massive risk-reward sort of thing, but I would prefer to let players run outside, but if they do, they're going to be instantly spotted. Maybe this is just something that I don't like personally, and I fully understand that I'm a casual Rainbow Six Siege player, but the problem is that's the majority of the player base. Not many players are actually pros and play in ESL. The majority of the player base on Xbox, PS4 and PC is made up of casual gamers like myself and my friends, and we're not diamond level pros on the game or anything like that. The highest I've been this season is Platinum 3, so it's possible that a lot of you may disagree with my thoughts on this and just see it as something that you've got to learn and deal with, but I imagine that there are plenty of, say, high gold or low platinum players that may feel the same way. I mean, what percentage of players are even at the top end of the ranks anyway? I imagine that it's very, very low. Another point I wanted to cover, but it's still a bit of a contentious one, the kill cam. Should we really be having a kill cam in ranked play? Let me start by saying that when ranked was first introduced, there was no kill cam in the game, and it was only added in via an update roughly around March last year. For those of you who weren't maybe playing back then or just can't remember, let me read to you the reason for adding it in from the official patch notes. Buckle up. We are aware that there is a certain widespread sentiment that high-level rank matches are often ruined by cheaters. We want to deter witch hunting as much as possible. While there were legitimate design reasons to remove the kill cam from ranked, we cannot compromise on the quality of our game experience. For this reason, we are enabling the kill cam on ranked matches to remove this hiding spot for cheaters. Now when I read that in my head, I see this. We had reasons from a design standpoint to not have a kill cam in ranked, which I totally agree with. But because our anti-cheat isn't doing what we want it to, we need this backup to catch people cheating. Now to me that's a bit backwards. It sounds like that even by their own admission the game was designed without a kill cam for ranked. Right now, let's say that I get killed by player X. I've got no idea where they were, but I can watch the kill cam. I can find out that maybe they'd made a little kill hole, and then I can tell my teammates, and sometimes I may even be able to see another enemy next to him, or see a trap or a barricade or some useful information that I can relay to my teammates that I wouldn't have seen if I hadn't have seen that kill cam. And I've actually gained way more information than I would there if I hadn't have died. Having a kill cam in a game because you need it to catch cheaters is not a great solution, and if anything, it's a temporary one. It screams to me that a better anti-cheat is required, and maybe, with that being last March, maybe the anti-cheat is in a much better state now. So maybe Ubisoft could now look at alternatives to having a kill cam in ranked again. CSGO, for example, has always had an abundance of cheaters, but you wouldn't ever dare to think of having a kill cam in a competitive, serious match of Counter-Strike. Yeah, it's in casual, but competitive, no, and LAN tournaments, no. And CS is a game where it's always pretty obvious where you've been killed from anyways. In Rainbow Six Siege, with sneaky spots, murder holes and suppressors, it's way harder sometimes. Now of course CSGO does have a demo system and also a post-match system where you can go back and watch the game through the demo and even report someone after the fact if they look a bit suspicious. I don't know if you can do that in Rainbow Six Siege. I don't think you can. I don't think there's a demo recorder as far as I know. There's definitely a spectator mode, but that's something that I think Ubisoft should be looking at adding down the line for maybe a new Rainbow Six game or even in Season 2 of Rainbow Six Siege. I don't know if it's something they could add to the current game depending on how much work it's going to take. Despite the reasons for it being added to the game by the developers, there are both pros and cons to having a kill cam. The cons are pretty simple. If I just kill a guy, he can not only see where I killed him, but in some instances, the direction that I'm moving to. Considering this game is all about positioning, sneaky spots and murder holes, why should the guy who gets the kill be penalised and end up at a disadvantage? Doesn't quite seem fair to me. The pros of a kill cam means that it's easier to work out where the enemies actually are, especially if it's a cheeky spot, and of course the initial reason it's easier to spot if someone is cheating, but in my opinion that also means that the fundamentals of your tactical shooter are then compromised. Moving on, just quickly a few things that I think could improve the game design. First up, headshot multiplier. I don't think pistols and SMGs at long ranges should kill in one shot to the head. Rifles, fair enough, but smaller caliber weapons, I'm not sure that's a good thing anymore. Second, round the corner kills. Happens all the time to me. It was a problem since the beta and it still goes on today. Third, discrepancies between clients. Occasionally, there's not a hole in the wall on my game, but there's a massive gaping grenade hole on the enemies. Incredibly frustrating to get killed by a bug like that, and also discrepancies in view models where one player can see you but you can't see them. Really annoying, that one, and it gives the players who know those specific spots a massive advantage over those that don't, and on their game they can see nothing when the guy peeks or repels upside down. Those places on the maps where you think you're in a position that is safe and you can't be seen from anywhere, but really on someone else's game or someone with a massive peek advantage, they can see a lot more of your body than you actually realise. And talking about the peeker's advantage in this game, if you peek a corner, you've got a much longer time to react than someone who is on the receiving end of your peek. The discrepancies here between the game clients are even more evident when you see the kill cam and you watch exactly what happened. On your screen you may have only seen them for a split second, but on their screen, because they're leaning and peeking and moving around the corner, they've spotted you, sometimes even a second before they're even on your screen. The peeker's advantage in this game simply needs to be addressed. It needs to be looked at and the netcode needs to be refined so game clients are more in sync with each other and you don't get those occasions where one player, simply because they're moving and peeking, sees another player long before they even have a chance to react. Now these are my qualms with the game and you're not going to agree with them all, and we have to remember as well that technically ranked play is still in beta, so it's ever changing, and I know that the kill cam has been around for a long time now, so I imagine there's a bit of a split there with people that would like it to remain and some that maybe don't want it to. Right now it's a tough call, but all these kind of things, I love talking about them and debating and bringing them up because ultimately it could potentially help improve the game, or of course make it worse depending on your viewpoint. And also all the stuff that I've just mentioned is based on my personal experiences playing the game on PC. Some of these problems may not exist on console. I don't know, I've never played Rainbow Six Siege on console, so you tell me if you think these kind of issues are also problems on the console versions of the game. Okay, moving on, let's look at some game updates which have been announced recently for Rainbow Six Siege. The game is about to receive its latest update called Velvet Shell. It will be the first DLC of the Year 2 content, and we've even got a look at the new map set in Ibiza, because why not? This DLC is Spanish themed after all, and you can expect a bit of a party theme with plenty of neon lights. It also sees the addition of the Spanish forces, Spanish Grupo Especial de Operaciones, or GEO, pardon my pronunciation. The map seems to be centered around a holiday resort or hotel on the coastline, and visually I think it looks quite nice. It reminds me a bit of a CSGO map called Santorini with clean bright colours. Thankfully it looks far simpler than some of the other DLC maps. I personally am not a big fan of Favela, I think it's one of the worst maps in the game. But the new map seems like a much more simpler design or form of that. Ubisoft are going to show off more content from the upcoming DLC and the map on February 3rd to 5th during the Rainbow Six International Tournament that's also taking place at the same time. As well as the new map, we had a teaser of one of the new operators that we're getting. As always with one of the DLC drops, there's one new map and two new operators. The first new operator is called Jackal, and from the very short preview we've got of him, it seems like that he's able to detect footprints on the ground using some kind of UV scanner. Now I'm going to assume that this guy is an attacker for two reasons. One, because he seems to be coming in from the outside through a broken barricade, although he could easily be a defender roaming coming back in as well. But also it seems that his ability would be a direct counter to roamers. If you played him as an attacker, you could scout through the area to find out exactly where roamers have gone or are hiding. Kavira better watch her back. And also having Kavira and Jackal on the defensive side would be a bit too much, I think. I can only assume that his detection of footprints would have some sort of life cycle though. Say that footprints on the ground were left there for maybe 20 to 30 seconds, and then he could detect them for that period of time after they've been made. But after a certain point they're going to disappear. Could be like that maybe. I'm also interested to see if all of the footprints are shown in one colour, and you've got to work out if they belong to multiple players, or will they show in different colours? Are they even going to show up your teammates' boots? Lots of questions, but I'm excited to try him out and see what the second operator might be. So Jackal will come with the C7E and PDW9 as his primary weapons, and the ITA-12S and USP-40 as secondary pistols. The C7E is a Canadian assault rifle, and the PDW9 is of course a well-known SMG. On Reddit, people have come to the conclusion that he'll probably be a 3-speed, 1-armor character, but only time will tell. I'm not sure how much this guy is going to get used after the initial honeymoon period. After all, players can still track down roamers with smart play and drone usage, but the benefit of Jackal is that he doesn't need to rely on a drone that can be seen and heard by the enemy, and as such, like Kavira, he will have the element of surprise. I wouldn't be surprised either if he can only use his scanner with a pistol rather than his scanner with his main primary weapons. And of course, this is just the first DLC of Year 2, and there will be another 3 to go alongside this to coincide with the brand new season of ranked play. What we do know is that, as well as the Spanish operators, the game will also head to Hong Kong, Poland and South Korea. Expect 4 new maps over the course of the year and 8 new operators. As I said before, that works out as 1 per map DLC with 2 new operators each time. And there'll be much more info on Season 2 when the Invitational Tournament runs from February 3rd to the 5th. So that's all for today folks, I hope you enjoyed the video and do let me know your thoughts down below. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up button. Thanks ever so much for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.